Grapes are so fucking good.
Hey, what's up, guys? So I'm just getting home and my wife's out hanging out with a buddy, and I figured I'd take advantage of this opportunity to film while I'm making some food hanging out by myself. I'm a little bit of a loner. I was the only child growing up, and that's just my mode, you know. I like being alone. I like my wife more, but I like being alone. So I am finishing my 70-hour sugar fast, and I just weighed in. I was 194 this morning. I was 193.7 after work. And man, this, I don't know. It really don't get any easier than that, you know? I've had 1,800 calories of orange juice, pink lemonade, and 2 apples, a couple dried figs. And yeah, so now I'm doing, for anybody that's really not familiar with the fasting community, I'm guessing if you follow this, you know all about fasting. You know, in fasting, when you fast, you have a refeed after, and it's the same idea here, right? That we have like protein and fat refeeds. And so yeah, for my protein refeed, I'm going with 22 ounces of 93.7 ground beef. I'm going with probably 6 servings of fat-free cheese, maybe a little less. I always say I'm going to use 4, and then I really use 3. I always say I'm going to use 2, and I use 1.5. And I'm making some quesadillas. But yeah, I was talking a lot about calories in almost all of my videos because it was something I wanted to look at, because I originally came to this diet and the sugar fasting because there was this ongoing issue with the fact that the amount of calories I was eating was less than what all the commonly accepted standards would have told me I needed to eat to maintain my weight. You know, like for example, to maintain 200 pounds, I was told I needed to continue eating 2,200 calories if I was sedentary, and I'm active. I'm very active, and I was eating, you know, 1,500 to 1,800 and still gaining weight. So, you know, if you're stuck eating 1,500 calories, 1,800 calories, and your weight is at maintenance, and you're a normal 12,000 step a day guy who strength trains and, you know, runs intermittent fasting and counts macros and tries to leverage the thermic effect of protein to even make his calorie count lower, and you find out that like you're not able to eat more food, you find yourself in a dark place, because things happen, you know. Weddings come up, honeymoons come up, vacations come up, birthdays come up, and you don't even got to go off the rails. You know, one heavy day of eating, which is a completely normal thing. People do it all the time, right? Like they go to a wedding and they have a piece of cake, and then after the cake they have a couple of finger cookies or something, you know what I mean? Like just totally normal average things. And then you wake up and your scale's 5 pounds heavier, and you tell yourself in your head, I've been through this before, I know it's water weight. And then you proceed to go through the next 2 weeks and you're still heavier than you were before you had a little bit of food one night. And, you know, how do you reconcile these things? How do you make sense of it? And that was where I found myself just really upset. And I remember I was like downright depressed talking to my wife one night, and after I got done talking to her, I acted like I was sleeping, but I just laid there in bed for a couple hours, unable to fall asleep, because I knew the scale was going to just keep trending up, even though I was being super diligent with all of the stuff. And on top of that, I felt bad, like physically. I felt unwell. So, you know, something had to give. And I gave this a shot, and things changed very quickly. And, you know, within the span of 2 weeks, I realized that I'm not tracking calories anymore. You know, I'm having this refeed tonight, and I'm going right into the sugar fast again. And the only metric I'm going to be looking at is the scale, because that's the only one that matters to me anymore. You know, I don't know what my goals are, but I know I want to get incredibly lean. Before, I was worried about what the loose skin would look like, but I really don't have a lot, dude. You know, I got some at the bottom of my stomach, and that's it. You know, like got some right here. I got some right at the bottom of my stomach, man. You know, and that's it. And you know, I'm coming up on 160 pounds again that I've lost since 2021, and I'm not worried about the loose skin. I'm not worried about any of this stuff anymore. I'm not worried about how much I'm eating. I'm not worried about my calorie count. I'm not worried about my protein goal. You know, I'm worried about what's the weight on the scale, how much food am I eating, how much of my life am I getting to enjoy, how many experiences, like family events, do I not have to be the weirdo that needs to protein sparing modified fast when everyone else is having stuffing and gravy. And I can still do my fitness journey while experiencing these things with my family. And to a lot of people, they would say like, well, moderation is key. Well, guess what, man? Like that wasn't on the table. Moderation was not on the table. And I don't mean me eating to excess. I mean specifically me having little bits of carbs and fats caused me to gain significant amount of weight, and like it fucked me up, man. And then, you know, I've been talking to people in the comments, and it's like you have these experiences where you fast your way to new lows and you feel awful, and then eventually you seek the relief of some food, and then your weight balloons back up. And so now what do? You gotta fucking fast again. You gotta fast again, you know, and you're just like locked into this trap of, I need to fast again. I have to fast. I have to skip meals. I have to be always on some kind of diet. I have to be. I must. I should. Why can't I? I must. I should. And in the span of 2 weeks, all this has changed. There's no I must. There's no I should. I have a simple sugar fasting routine. And then I have a variety of days where I get to experience what my wife and her family are experiencing, what my friends and my coworkers are experiencing. I get to have these things. And I don't want them as bad because I'm not going without. I'm having like huge varieties of tastes and textures and flavors. And I feel better. I feel better in my body. And that's the most important part. I feel better. Quesadillas are so fucking good. I only used a little bit of avocado oil spray because the 93.7, when you're having 22 ounces of it, comes out to like 42 grams of fat. So I didn't need any extra. On the refeed days, I try and hit 50 grams of fat. $50 grams of fat, baby. Which is wild, because I mean, like 100 used to be like a low macro for me just a number of months ago. When I was like a high fat carnivore. When I was doing 48-hour fasts, I used to do an entire stick of butter with like a dozen eggs or 16 to 32 ounces of New York strip. I don't even know what the fat macros on that are. It's crazy. You know, you're never gonna be as lean as you want to be. You're never gonna be as ripped as you want to be. You're never gonna be as big in the right places as you want to be. You're never gonna be all these things that ultimately really don't matter and are just vanity. What matters is when I go to Italy in a couple months with my wife, I don't have to be ashamed about my eating. I can eat what I want, and then I can fruit fast, sugar fast it away. I already know how to put the work in the gym. I already know how to be dedicated and keep going. Continuing to try something, even when you keep fucking it up, is a superpower. It's like a masochism or something, because it takes a lot of pain to learn lessons. But having that determination to accept the rejection and the failure and to push through it, it's a little bit of a superpower. But having the sugar fasting is a tool that I never imagined. I feel bad for people that said it's not working for them. You know, I'm not a scientist, dude. I don't know any of this stuff. I don't understand how it works. I can give you a rough estimate. What I know is that I am able to shred weight eating, you know, like I was looking at just some quick math, and it's like, you know, 3 weeks ago, I was stalled out at 1,800 calories, over 200 pounds. I was like 205 the Monday before I started fucking with all this. You know, I came in from work, got on the scale, high 193. It's been 2 weeks. It's not some sort of water weight thing, because I am loaded with glycogen and water weight. I just slammed the lemonade before I came home. Went and ran 20 minutes on the treads. I don't know what's going on, but this has been the happiest I've been in a really long time. And I get to share that happiness with my friends and family, because the days of having to obsess about what I'm eating, what I'm weighing, what my fasting schedule is, it's just dunzo. Dunzo. My cat's waiting for her dinner. She's just walking around giving me shitty faces right now. Anyways, I'm gonna finish my last 2 quesadillas, and then I'm gonna have some fruit and cut it off. And then next time I'll eat is Saturday night, when I go out with my wife for her birthday and eat whatever I want. And then Sunday, I'm gonna do another fast, you know? And it's awesome, man. What a gift, what a blessing. 10 out of 10. Highly recommended. Anyways, have a good day, good night, whatever. Later.